This is the May 2011 paper 2, problem number 1. The question gives you a little background information. The heat output in thermal units from burning a kilogram of wood changes according to the wood's percentage moisture content. And then you're given some values, and it's indicated which values you should use for X and which values you should use for Y. And the first thing you're asked to do is to represent the data on a scattergram. Now, remember that a scattergram does not have the points connected, but rather you're just plotting points for each of the data values. Here's a copy of the answer key provided by IB, and in the mark scheme that is given to the teachers, it's very clear about what you'll receive points for. You'll receive points for having the X and Y axes clearly labeled, so you can see moisture content as a percent labeled on the X axis, and the heat output, the Y values, indicated for the Y axis, and all of the points are indicated on the graph. Now, at this point, you haven't been asked to graph the regression line yet. You'll be asked to do that later. There should not be two lines on your graph. The second part of the question asks you to write down the percentage of moisture content and the mean percentage of moisture content and the mean heat output. Those values, when it says write down, are taken directly from your calculator. So what you need to do is go to Stat, Edit, hit Enter, and in L1 list the values of X, and in L2 list the values of Y. And then you'll be doing Stat, Calculate, and you'll be calculating two variable statistics because you've put in an X variable and a Y variable. And you'll see that the X value, the mean of the X values is equal to 42, and the mean of the Y values is equal to 64. Now remember, this is a paper 2 problem. You won't be writing directly on your test paper copy, but you'll be listing your work neatly and marking it all so that the IB grader can follow it really easily. So you should have this question labeled 1, part B with a little I, and part B with the little 2 I, I don't know how you say that, 2 I's, so that the IB grader can really clearly follow your work. Plot the point X bar, Y bar on your scatter diagram and label this point M. This is very clearly stated that your M needs to be marked. Definitely circle that point and label it M. Needs to be labeled to get full points. Write down the product moment correlation coefficient R. To calculate the correlation coefficient, when it says write down, what you need to do is make sure that your diagnostics are turned on. And in your calculator, you do that by hitting the second button and then hitting 0, which is the catalog, and scroll down till you see diagnostics on. Hit the enter button twice. Make sure that you see the word done. Then you've already got your data in list 1 and list 2. Go back and calculate the line of best fit, or the regression equation. And what you'll see is that when you do that, so you're going to do Stat, Calculate, and option 4 on your calculator is LinReg. When you hit enter, since you've turned your diagnostics on, you'll see that the correlation coefficient is negative 0.99, and I think it comes out to be 7 something, some other higher number after the 7. So you'll round up to 0.998, and there are our 3 significant digits. The 0.998 is significant. Make sure that you indicate that that correlation is negative. So you'll get a point for having the negative and a point for having 0.998 rounded correctly. If I go back to the graph, you can see that the line of best fit, which is actually given to you in the problem, is marked then on the graph. Here's the way you should graph that line. Look at your equation. Y equals negative 0.470x plus 83.7. You know that the line of best fit, the regression line, has to cross through that x bar, y bar point. You also see where the y-intercept is. So go to 83.7 and mark that point and use your ruler and draw the line through those 2 points. That's all you need to do to get full marks for that. Now, the next part, let's see, what does it say? Oh, estimate the heat output in thermal units for a block of wood that has 25% moisture content. Remember on paper 2, the only thing that you can get full marks for it with no work is if it says write down. So what you need to show here is that you're plugging in the 25% into the regression equation. So I've got 0.470, and there's my 25 substituting for x, plus 83.7, and that's equal to 72.03 sig fig. Now, the next question asks, with a reason, state with a reason, whether it's appropriate to use the regression line to estimate the heat output in point F. So there are 2 things that they're kind of looking for. Answer the question, yes, it's appropriate, and then we're going to give 2 reasons. One is, since 25% falls within the data set, then we're good to go. Falls within the data set. I probably wouldn't write good to go. Falls in the data set. The regression line is appropriate. And then we're going to add something else on. We're going to say also the R value is close to -1, which also is a reason that it's appropriate to make predictions because we have this really close correlation.